welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing as it helps out the channel, and give this video a like if you do like it. So this is a review for Mexican Joyride, released on the 25th of October 1947. It's the 508th in the series, and it's directed by Art Davis. Now, at the moment, there doesn't appear to be any good or decent releases to watch this short, which is sadly under copyright, so I can't show you the full cartoon. But if you really, really need it, I guess you can find it on Laserdisc or VHS. And because I can't show you the cartoon, here's a brief synopsis. So Daffy travels to Mexico for some rest and relaxation. He then goes to a bullfight and thinks the bull is a wuss, and the bull decides to take Daffy to task for his comments.
He couldn't see his hand in front of his face.
With me today, after a fairly decent absence, I'm so glad he's back, is my good friend and fellow bullfighter, Austin Kelly. Say hi.
Hi, I'm very glad to be here to discuss this lovely Art Davis cartoon about bullfighting. I was actually very pleased to rewatch. I thought this one was great and absolutely hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. I'll just get two very brief bits of trivia out of the way, and then we can discuss this wonderful cartoon that happens to be a childhood favourite of mine. So the first up, Daffy mentions the good neighbour policy. Now, that's just a reference to the policy that took place after World War II to try and keep the communists out of South America. So it's just that's why you have a lot of Latin-themed music and movies and whatever going around this time. And when Daffy says, "What a revolt and development," no, that's not the thing from Fantastic Four. That's still many years away. But that is actually the catchphrase from the Chester Riley character from the radio show Life of Riley.
Yet. What a revolting development this is.
So, there you go. I mean, hey, maybe the thing got it from this show. I don't know. But anyway. So, Austin, when I got you to rewatch this, you probably weren't expecting much, and then yeah, you were like, whoa, this is actually really funny. I mean, what are your general thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you told me to rewatch it, and I sent a message on our Discord server that I was flipping out because I've been focusing my energy towards, like, Hanna-Barbera cartoons these days, and look, okay, I think those are pretty good in their own way. I'm not saying they're hilarious, but I think they're pretty good. But they're not outright funny, and I came back to this one. And it might be the overdose of Huckleberry Hound speaking, but I thought this was great. I mean, I just couldn't believe how much there was to like about this. I also have to say, it's very baseball Bugs-ish in a way that I didn't think about before when watching this, because I've seen it before a few times. I'm talking about the structure, specifically, like the protagonist brags, and he gets himself into the situation where, you know, he's got to go up against this antagonist, or in the case of baseball Bugs, this group of antagonists that he's kind of got to get himself out. And what I think is cool about this one and baseball Bugs and comparing them is that it shows you the difference between Bugs and Daffy, right? Because Bugs outsmarts his way out of everything, and Daffy gets out of a lot of this by means of, like, cartoon logic, where these crazy coincidences happen, or, like, something weird will happen that just kind of gets Daffy out of, like, really hot water. But even then, in the end, I guess Daffy kind of loses because the bull's in the back of the car.
Yes.
Which I thought was a really funny gag too, by the way. I mean, there's so much to like about this one. I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Oh, yes. Now, this one is a childhood favorite. This one, I was wondering when I would come up to it, because I remembered seeing a bullfighting cartoon with Daffy, but I couldn't for the life of me put my finger on where it was. And lo and behold, I watched this and I thought, oh, yes, I remember this. And oh man, I was laughing so much at it. I mean, I'll go through a few scenes that just really just came out at me, just how hilarious it is. Now, like when Daffy gets confronted by the bull after calling him a wuss, he's like, no, just wait a minute, stupid. I mean, pal.
Now, wait a minute, stupid. That is, pal. Don't do anything hasty or rash.
Absolutely love that. But even the telephone gag with the way the bull answers the phone, like, it's so daintily.
Hello. So long, chump.
Like, hello. And it's like, so long, chump. But I think the biggest one, though, would have to be the night gag.
Caramba, what a short day this was.
The bull's just wearing darkened glasses, and he's like, caramba, what a short day. I mean, it's just gag after gag that's just so darn funny. And the writer for this is Dave Monahan, and he's on fire here. He's like, maybe not as like, it's as much of a fire that's in Daffy's mouth when he has that Mexican food.
You mentioned Dave Monahan. I want to loop back to him for a minute. He doesn't get talked about that much. He worked with Tex Avery a little bit in the early 40s, where I guess his biggest claim to fame would be Bugs pronouncing his name as Monahan at the beginning of Tortoise Beats Hair.
Story? Dave Monahan.
After the war, he came back to Warner's, and he did a bit of work for the Davis unit. But eventually he left, and he faded away into Warner cartoon obscurity, as most people do. I'm not really sure on much about his personal life or what he did outside of his Warner Brothers stuff, but, all I know is that every cartoon that I've seen with Dave Monahan's name on it always is a funny and capable cartoon. It's surprising that people don't talk about the Warner Brothers writers that much, because, like you said, this cartoon's on fire with the writing. This is genius stuff. I'm not saying that other Warner cartoons are bad, but, I was looking at this one, and I don't remember seeing a cartoon from the Warner studio where, the dialogue was this sharp and witty and funny.
Exactly. Two other examples I can pick up right now. Like when he mentions all those, Mexican food, or have I since learned it's more actually Tex-Mex, I guess. But anyway, what was it, tamales and so on. And then he ends with all of that with, and a side dish of borscht. It's like, it's just some random European dish that's not even Mexican. I thought that was hilarious.
Bring on the tamales, enchiladas, tacos, frijoles, tostados, huaraches, serapes, and a side dish of borscht.
And even that reverse psychology gag, which is normally associated with Chuck Jones in the Hunter trilogy, and even Baseball Bugs, the cartoon you mentioned, they did a reverse psychology gag.
He's not.
He is.
He is not.
He is.
He's not.
Is.
Not.
Is.
Not.
Is.
Not.
Is.
Is.
Not.
Is.
Not.
Is.
Not.
Wow. It's just incredible. Just incredible. Any highlight moments for you in this one? Was there one gag that you thought was the best out of all of them?
I think you covered the majority of the ones that I loved. I think the end gag especially is hilarious, where the bull's in the back of the car with the gun. I thought that was great. Here's the thing about that. I was surprised that they got away with that gag. That's really dark, especially for, the standards of a guy who's just starting to direct cartoons at this studio. It's great. But it's also shocking in this way that, I wouldn't expect to be shocked when I'm so familiar with Warner Brothers cartoons already, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess that just proves that this one, this cartoon doesn't get talked about as much as it should. I think it's great.
It should.
Really
and while the print I'm using here isn't by any means terrible, it's actually pretty solid. I hope to one day see a nice HD version of this short. Warner Archive, if you're listening, can you please make a complete Art Davis Blu-ray set? That would be awesome, since most of his stuff, some of his stuff isn't actually restored, as far as I'm aware.
That would be awesome.
That would be. But no, my this review will come out, and then 2 days later they'll release a restoration somewhere of this cartoon. That's what happened with Foxy Duckling. But what would you rate this one out of 10? I'm giving it a 9. This is just so dark. In fact, maybe even 9.5. That's how good it is. I love it.
I don't know if I would go so far as to give it a 10, but I think you're kind of right with saying 9.5. There's probably some little nitpick I could come up with, but nothing comes to mind. I thought this one was awesome.
Exactly, but we'll wrap this one here. So glad to have you back, Austin. You will also be on the next one, of course. So I'm looking forward to that. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, take care.
See ya.